Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, think about this a little bit, and later on this morning, we're going to be talking about this. Only in America can they have terrorists kill people in the name of Allah and have the media primarily react by fretting that Muslims might be harmed by the backlash. Go figure. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning. Oh my, a Monday. Here's Kate Smith. Thank you very much to Kate Smith, and good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, and of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And we also want to say thanks to some of our great advertisers, which include Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, call them at 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Right now, it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance, and let's get our caller on the air. Good morning, caller. Are you there?
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Al.
Johnny.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, go ahead.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you, and thank you very much for your pledge.
I see it's starting to happen, Zebber.
Which one, quickly?
Saudi Arabia saying to hell with coming over here. I can't really blame them, I guess.
No, and I'll tell you something. The ramifications of what that means are extreme, and I'm going to hopefully get a chance to talk about that a little later on. But, boy, I'm telling you, did you ever read a lot of the books about the supposed coming of World War III? Saudi Arabia is a major player because in some of the books they were slighted by the United States.
I know it. I figured it was coming, but and it's getting worse and worse every day.
It is. Al, God bless you, and thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Time for the weather forecast brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And, of course, the best of kitchen, construction, carpet and flooring, all your home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home, you're finding it right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. I'll tell you what, and they've got so many interesting little ideas on how to make your house just a lot homier and a lot friendlier, like painting or wallpapering the ceiling of a room makes your room seems taller. Yes, so check it out. Check out more great ideas at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. And right now, here's the weather. I hope he's got his watch on the right time by Michael Rogers Weather.
Yeah, every time I come here, Zeb and I have been together 7 years. We can tell you all the watch issue stories from when I'm on one side of the country to the other driving a truck. I go through more issues when I come to Idaho than any other place in the world. I have no idea why I do that. Morning, everybody. Yeah, rain in the forecast coming up for this weekend. Now, why in the world would I tell you about the weekend weather and it's only Monday? Because springtime, summertime's coming, and you got plans. You want to plan ahead and see what the weather is like. Go ask Zeb. He called me Wednesday last week to find out if he wanted to take a trip up to Oregon. And that happens. So you got rain coming up for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The good news about today is that you're going to be experiencing temperatures 5 to 10 degrees above normal. So you're going to look for a high today of about 75, 49 for the overnight low. You got isolated showers and possible thunderstorms for today, but you're going to see a little bit of sun. More sun tomorrow, and then you'll start to cloud up as you work your way in toward Wednesday, Thursday. You'll start to see a slight chance of the rain, and it'll make its way in Thursday night. And then from Friday all the way through the weekend, you got rain in the forecast. You got a great big system that's making its way down the California coast, and then it's going to turn west to east. And I call that the California storm. And when you get a California storm, and it's pretty normal for this time of year in the Magic Valley, when you get a California storm making its way in, you're going to get nailed. It happens all the time. Mark my word on it. So get what you need to get done and plan on the fact that it's going to be cloudy and yucky as you work your way toward the weekend. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael. Excellent forecast. And thank you very much. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Give them a call, 678-6945. Wow, we got home yesterday afternoon from Pendleton, Oregon. We were up there for the weekend, and nice to be back home. Nice to sleep in your own bed. Nice to have the comforts of home. Oh, feels good this morning, I'll tell you. And don't forget, too, Daryl's Cleaners. We got to take all of our rumply crumplies in there, especially my little wreck I had on Thursday night last week with a sports jacket that I hope can be repaired. Anyway, Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. 878-8900, the number to call. Kevin and Cindy. You stop in and have everything you need cleaned and looking brand spanking new. They are simply the best at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You know, somebody else that's absolutely the best, and I mean this, is SafeLink Internet. Had the manager on, and man, they do so much. There no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data, and the first month free with free installation. These people are really good. And if you do have a problem, I mean, the tech people are so knowledgeable. Call them today. Get on the program. 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. Now it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, don't forget, at 8:31 this morning, we're going to be giving away another half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox. Each one of them is the size of a football. I mean, man, they're good. And be listening for the question of the day at 8:30 this morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. And while I have just a minute, also, I'm trying to get things organized here this morning. Bear with me. I want to talk to you a little bit about Valleywide Home and Ranch. A lot of people fail to remember that all the 4-H'ers get a discount on their feed and equipment supplies up till fair time. So please take your 4-H'ers in there. And they've still got lots of chickens. They got all the feed, all the housing. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. Wrong chick. And all the fishing gear, they've got everything over there. And a quick reminder that on June the 19th and 20th, they're going to have that antique tractor show over there at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean, Mandy, the whole crew serving you because, like I say, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch is at Valleywide Home and Ranch. You stop in and see those good folks today. And while you're over in that neck of the woods, if you need anything for heating and electric, you know, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Boy, they have been on my program for a long time. And I don't care if it's light bulbs. I don't care if it's something you need for heating. I don't care. Whatever the case might be, they open the doors at 7:30 in the morning and they go till 5 in the afternoon at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The nicest people in the world at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see those good folks this morning, okay? All right, thank you. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Sick, disgusting, dangerous, very dangerous. That is the life right now of our policemen in America. And all policemen, very unfortunately, and I mean this, are in the crosshairs from the vermin in our society. And 2 more police officers over the weekend were shot and killed in Mississippi after a very routine traffic stop. Both were exemplary policemen. Both were absolutely highly respected citizens. Both were absolutely expected to go to the top of their job ladder. Now, since the beginning of this year, and this is atrocious, since the beginning of 2015, and here we are now on May 11th, 40 police officers have been shot and killed. And then on Facebook, this is something I can't comprehend. A black woman working at a Subway restaurant got on Facebook and said, basically, got him, after these officers had been shot and killed. And then let's have another Baltimore. What kind of a society are we looking at? You know what? I call on the Al Sharptons. I call on the Jesse Jacksons. And above all this morning, I call on our so-called illustrious president to go on television, go on the newscasts, and look at the cameras and say enough. Enough in the black communities of this antagonistic hatred towards police. Let's try to get along and try to make this country better, stronger, and more united. This president has done nothing to unify this nation. And quite frankly, I think he's done more to divide us, and it may be permanent. Give me your thoughts and your calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please don't hesitate. Give me a jingle this morning. I'd love to have you on the air. By the way, last week on Thursday, we had the new salesman for Barry Equipment and Rental, and that was Will Janes. Really a nice guy and very, very knowledgeable about all the equipment, all the Doosan, Bobcat, and Coyote lines. And I'll guarantee you, this man can help you, as all the representatives for Barry Equipment and Rental can. And they've got 3 locations for all your equipment needs. Don't forget Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They have the equipment to do any job right. And believe me, all you have to do is pick up the phone or stop in and visit with them. The best is now even better at Barry Equipment and Rental. Twin Falls, Jerome, and Burley, you stop in and see them today. And we also want to give kudos to Denny's Restaurant. Oh, my goodness. We have 2 of the very best Denny's restaurants anywhere in the United States right here in this area. The one, of course, at 611 Overland in Burley, and their other brand new Denny's at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Breakfast, that's my favorite meal, and you got so many menu choices, and look at the pictures and you'll start drooling. And when it comes to the table, it looks even better and tastes delicious. Stop in at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And don't forget, too, the new one at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. All right, let's get some calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, on Saturday Night Live, I do not watch Saturday Night Live. 2 reasons. Number 1, I've never really cared for the program. And second reason, it's on too late and I go to bed. But Saturday Night Live, I saw the excerpts where they basically had more truth than laughs. Saturday Night Live had a skit on the cartoon drawings of Muslim Muhammad. And it really showed, I saw the excerpt of it, and it really showed how insane the radical Muslims are and how they want to stifle our free speech or anyone's free speech. And this draws to mind that at 9:06 this morning, you want to be sure and be listening, because my dear friend from Austin, Texas, Professor Randy Givens, is going to be on the phone talking about Muslims and talking about free speech and talking about all the problems that are coming into this country right now. And don't miss that segment at 9:06 this morning. Going to be very, very interesting. Somebody get up out of bed and dial the number 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, and in a Jason's story to what we were just talking about, this is not very secure feeling presented by Jay Johnson, the Homeland Security leader. Did you hear him over the weekend? He said, ISIS is here, folks. ISIS is here. And they're providing a lot of leadership to the lone wolf style attack, which could be here, there, or anywhere at any time here in the country of America. How comforting to have the Homeland Security leader, Jay Johnson, come out and say, well, basically, folks, you're on your own. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, last week we had the lovely lady, Vicki Cole, on talking about the Relay for Life, and the Relay for Life is going to be on June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. on the 19th, Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds. And for more information, to get signed up, be a part of it, don't forget, all of this for cancer research, and the number to call, 878, I got to find it here, 5238, I believe it is, or you can call 436-6061. And that is the Relay for Life for 2015 at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds. All right, your turn, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Let's see, what else have we got here? John Kasich and Denzel Washington, actor Denzel Washington, and even Jeb Bush. I have to give kudos to all three of these people, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. But right now, here's our first call of the morning. Good morning. You're on the air for a Monday.
Good morning.
Hi. Hey, man, this is really early for you, my dear lady.
Well, no, I'm usually up way before now, but I have to do so many things before I can get to the phone to talk to you that
all right.
I got them all done earlier.
All right. Well, listen, my dear friend, what can I do for you?
Well, I'm calling about your statement about are we any safer now than we were about 6 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think we're far less.
I think that the problem with the United States now is we're all going to be looking pretty close at the faces of those who are around us, no matter where we are. And then with this latest announcement that there's going to be refugees coming to the state of Idaho from where? We don't really know, do we?
You know, Chris, I've already had some people call me and say, oh, you're just crying wolf. And I've had other members of the media in a not-so-subtle fashion, say that I'm just making a big to-do about nothing and that I'm blowing smoke about the refugees and that we should, like the Times News said, welcome them with open arms. And I'm going to go on record again this morning as saying, no, I'm not going to welcome them with open arms. No, I don't trust this situation. No, I don't like this attitude of bringing people in that we really don't know their entirety on their background checks. And no, I don't want to be responsible for taking care of these people.
Well, I don't either. And the other thing is do we know why they are coming here? Why is our benevolent president, who cannot take care of the people in our own country that need help from our country, and yet he's going to have a snowball rolling through our country that we cannot stop?
We're going to be doing extensive talk on this at 9:06 this morning with my dear friend Randy Givens out of Austin, Texas. And Randy has done so much research on this, Chris, as far as the indoctrination of telling everybody how great it is to help these refugees and to have these colonization factors with Obama saying, well, we're going to move to Idaho. Boise is going to get a whole bunch of these Syrian refugees, Muslim Syrian refugees, and Twin Falls is going to get the other part. And do we know anything about them? No. What about the taxation? What about the expenses to the area? Don't give me this garbage about having grant money, because, Chris, where did the grant money come from in the first place?
Our very own pockets.
There you go.
It comes right out of our pockets. No, this is very frightening. I think I may have told you about I went to a skin doctor with my sister not that long ago, and I was in the waiting room while she was having her appointment, and I was sitting there, and the doctor came out of the office and said, make an appointment for this woman. And there was a very handsome, well-dressed man with the woman, but the woman was covered from head to toe. The only thing that we could see about her was her eyes. And I thought to myself, how would you like to be a doctor and have a man accompanied with his wife, and she's so covered that you have no idea whether she has a gun in her hand or whether she's got leprosy or what?
Yeah. I have no argument there.
That's wrong, and that's what we're going to be seeing.
Exactly. And you know what bothers me is the opportunity, and I've got another caller waiting, standby caller, the opportunity that is going to present itself of the change in culture, the demanding of Sharia law, and don't tell me it's not going to happen in this country, because it is, and the absolute commingling of so many cultures in this country that we're going to see a dissolving of our own.
We will, because there's power in groups, and of course they're going to put them in Magic Valley and in Boise, and these are two of the groups that really represent Idaho completely. And now we're going to be looking out over our shoulder all the time.
Absolutely. Chris, always good to hear from you, and God bless you and your family. Nice people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you.
You bet. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. I have 1 minute before a break. Go ahead, please.
Well, this will take about 1 minute. Isn't August when hunting season opens?
Now, Dal, be real careful about what you say, because I don't want any inference on violence. So be real careful about what you say.
Well, then I hadn't better say it.
All right, good. I respect you for that, because I'm not going to have any creed or lead up to any violent statements. Thank you. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, sir. Don't forget our dear friend, and that's Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and located right across from the emergency room at Minidoka Hospital. And the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. This lovely lady knows all about hearing and the loss of hearing. And I'll guarantee you, I learned something. Current smokers have a 70% higher risk of having hearing loss than non-smokers. So please have a hearing screening today. Extremely important. All you have to do is call Christine Pickup at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. And right now, here's the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Youths from Washington State and Northern Idaho converged on Spokane last week for the annual Junior Livestock Show. The show offers participants in elementary school through high school the opportunity to raise livestock and then market their animals. Marin Friss, an 11th grader at Lake City High School in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was in her third year of selling steers at the show. Pomeroy Washington High School senior Cheyenne Miller has raised animals since she started 4-H in the 4th grade. But the main goal of each participant is making money. When asked what price she wanted for her steer, 5th grader Regan Savigny summed up the hopes of all the youth. She said she wanted a good one. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
Thank you very much. And, of course, Mount Harrison Audiology bringing you the Capital Press Ag Minute with Christine Pickup. And the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. Hey, real quick, I also want to remind you, before we give away some cinnamon rolls here this morning, that on Tuesdays, don't miss Dr. History, brought to you by Mini-Cash Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Zach and the rest of his great, really professional crew with all your spring remodeling, all your lumber packages to choose from, all your windows, everything, quality carpet, the best. And, of course, don't forget, too, they have the Tartar Farm and Ranch equipment, too. Mini-Cash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Really nice people. We are, at this time, going to give away, everybody get ready, give away a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. And here is the question. And if you are a previous winner, you do not qualify. Don't call and spoil it. We're going to try to share the wealth with everybody. And Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. And here's the question. Easy one this morning. Real easy. What was the nickname given to perhaps the greatest racehorse of all time, Triple Crown winner, Secretariat? What was the nickname given to Secretariat, fantastic Triple Crown winner? What was the nickname? Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. No previous winners. Call right now. Maybe you can be the winner of the cinnamon rolls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What was the nickname given to Secretariat, Triple Crown winner? That horse, they made a movie about him. I mean, man, what a racehorse. Give me a call. Come on. Somebody must know the answer. Give us a jingle. While I'm waiting for your calls that I hope are coming in, aha, there's our first caller for this morning. They probably ran to the computer and figured out what it is. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
His name was Big Red, wasn't it?
Who is this?
This is Mr. Mass.
Are you home?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, don't complain about Idaho weather. We've had snowstorms, rain, and tornadoes, so...
Well, now, I've got to ask you, I never knew anything in your personality that you were interested in horses, and you came up with the nickname Big Red, and you know what, George Mass over in Rupert, Idaho, married to lovely Donna that better share these cinnamon rolls with Zeb and Deanne. You are the winner.
Thank you. Yeah, we went... when I retired, went back to Kentucky and went to those horse farms through there around Frankfort and learned an awful lot about racehorses.
Well, you knew it was Big Red. That's exactly right. I ought to ask you, who gave the name Big Red to the horse?
Wasn't it the trainer?
It was. It wasn't the head trainer, Lorian, but it was the black trainer that stayed there 24/7 and lived with the horse right in the stall, basically. He's the one that gave him the nickname. Yep. George, God bless you. You won the cinnamon rolls.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All you have to do is call over there and tell them when you want them, and they'll have them fresh and hot for you, okay?
Will do.
All right. Thank you very much, George Mass. Oh, my. Cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. And what a bakery. What a restaurant. 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. All right. Give us a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want to remind you, too, about Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. And Tim Vaughn, what a nice guy. And the number to call for estimates on anything that you need built, 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. You call today. I know that after visiting with Tim and finding out that Streamline Precision is all over the Magic Valley right now. They're putting up on the farm grain storage with all the grain bins and the farm buildings. They're building, and they're also currently building the new Funk Dairy over in Murtaugh, just south of me. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, for all your building needs, you talk to the professionals, and that's Streamline Precision. Number to call, 431-7314. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, on this thing with the refugees coming here to Idaho, I'm kind of neutral on this right now because I don't really know what type of people they are. You know, I know they come from Syria, so they're most likely Muslims, but I welcome immigrants, I welcome refugees, as long as they integrate into our system and behave themselves, you might say.
All right, hold it.
No problem with it.
Stop right there. I do have a problem with this because I absolutely have read everything, studied everything, and looked into everything as far as what we're doing with a forced colonization type problem around the United States that our illustrious President Obama is trying to force upon us. And I want to know the backgrounds of these people, and don't anybody tell me, well, they've all had background checks. They have had trouble with some of the Syrian Muslims and Muslims coming in from the Middle East in other colonization projects to where they have had ties with Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And I don't know about you, my dear friend, but I don't want to see our culture, I don't want to see our situation here in southern Idaho or in Boise or anywhere else compromised to the point where we create a problem.
Well, I agree with that we don't need any problems coming here. But just like most of the Americans, with the exception of the Native Americans, most of them have immigration or immigrant ancestors. And like I say, as long as they behave themselves, which I kind of have a little bit of reservations about, because you don't know where they came from. You know, you don't know what their affiliations were with over in Syria. But all we can do, since this is going to be forced on us anyway, is to be alert, be vigilant, and, just kind of watch them.
I'll just ask you some simple questions in regards to this. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to go to school? How are they going to fund everything? Where are they going to find jobs available? What about their living expenses? Oh, sure, well, a grant money is going to pay for a stipend. The grant money came from the United States taxpayers. Why are we bringing them into an area like this? I mean, all these questions, and there's many, many more I have, and I think we should be very questionable as to why they're using the term colonization in Boise and Twin Falls.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird term to use instead of immigration or refugees. They're using that term colonization, which tends to raise an eyebrow like, you're doing what?
All right, well, thank you for your call. I got another one waiting. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence 30 seconds. Don't go away mad. Penetron by Maisie. Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie, with a 21-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops. Hey, speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, stimulating root growth, and microbial activity. Penetron also saves on water. Man, it's going to save you money. Penetron by Maisie. And have better crops because of it. Increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner. Penetron by Maisie. Get the original. Contact your crop advisor today for Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Many of these foreigners that are pouring in here are being given the idea that it is their right to be able to come into the United States and go on our welfare at the taxpayers' expenses, and they think nothing of coming in here and trying to overrun us. So, and what's going to happen here when they pour in, our property taxes are going to start going up. And that's going to stop a lot of American people from buying cars, furniture, and just being generally being less consumers. There's going to be less tax money coming in.
You know, and what gets me, and boy, I've taken some heat over this, but I'm just being blatantly honest. I don't want a bunch of culture coming into the area that destroys our own culture. In other words, I like assimilation. And if people want to come here and be like it used to be in this country, United States of America, the melting pot of the world, fine, to assimilate into our culture, learn our language, learn our culture, and live as Americans. I don't want all these hyphenated Americans. I don't want all this culture. I don't want everything redefining what America is.
Well, they're going to come in here and they're going to get free medical care. They're going to have as many kids as they want. Pretty soon we're going to be overpopulated, and there's no way we're going to get around this. They're going to take over by sheer numbers.
I can't argue that. As a matter of fact, I agree with you, Tony, and I appreciate always your phone call. Thank you, sir. God bless. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tony's a good old boy right there. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, why don't we welcome in another 20,000 here, maybe another 7 or 8 million. Why don't we leave the borders open? Come on in. Amnesty. If Hillary gets to be president, 12, 15, 20 million, what difference does it make? And all they are doing, the Democrats, buying votes. Don't forget Four Paws Bed and Bath. This next weekend, they are going to be celebrating their 10-year anniversary open house. It's party time. Yes, it is on May 15th and 16th, 11 to 4 at 370 West 200 South of Rupert. Number to call for more information about party time, 438-4444. They're going to be serving free hot dogs and drinks and gifts for everybody, door prizes, all kinds of fun at Four Paws Bed and Bath 10-year anniversary open house this next weekend on the 15th and 16th. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Well, we've already got a bunch of students here on student visas that are Muslim and stuff like that, and look at the trouble we're having with them, let alone the other ones that are here that we don't know about that are causing trouble. And then they're going to bring these other ones in and put them wherever that we have to pay for. And there's a reason that the purchase of guns and ammo has gone through the roof in the last, 4, 5, 6 years. Look at what he's doing. We're here to protect ourselves.
Well, Killed Man, some of the responses to last week's program were just really, I expected them. I mean, I know that I'm taking a stance that's against the know-it-alls, the so-called smarties of the Twin Falls Chamber of Commerce and others. But you know something? Enough is enough. I don't want to see a disintegration of our culture. I don't want to see a disintegration of our Western lifestyle. I don't want to see these people coming in and the jobs aren't available, the housing's not available, the food's not available, and we're picking up on a stipend to pay all of this stuff. Why? I'd rather see the help for American citizens that are down and out right now, and there are many of them.
Well, the problem is the ones we're paying for are the ones that could really take care of themselves, but we're having to pay for them anyway, and then the ones that really need it don't get it.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know I'm going to take a lot of heat over this, and I got broad shoulders. I can stand it, but I'll tell you something. I think the problem's going to be exacerbated to where, in the not-too-distant future, you and others are going to call, and we're all going to sit there and say, uh-oh, we should have stopped it in the beginning.
The other thing is you look at it, and, yeah, I agree with you there. I think we need to follow the money. What is going on that the city council and stuff like that is allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
I bet you there's some money involved there.
That is the whole truth right there, Kilt Man. I mean, it's a money trail, and there's offers, of course, for the stipends going to the community leaders. Supposedly the breakdown on the numbers is Boise's going to get 70% of this so-called colonization. Twin Falls gets the other 30%. Money to bring these folks in. But you know something? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the jobs? Do we have the wherewithal to take care of these people?
No, we don't. I mean, we can't stay on top of what we do have here.
That's right.
That shouldn't be here anyway, and we're expected to take care of them. So why should we add some more to the problem? The money's only going to be good for a little while, and then we're going to end up taking care of it ourselves. Anyway.
I agree, Kilt Man. Good to hear from you, dear friend. I got to get a weather forecast in here. God bless you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hey, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Ramsey and Lennox serving you. All the gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. Your family will enjoy the comfort. Be sure and get a hold of Ramsey Heating and Electric today. Call them at 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers with Lennox. Right now, here's Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. You got rain coming up this weekend. Why am I telling you a forecast on a day that's nowhere near where we're getting to? Because it's summertime. You got things to do. Well, not summertime. It's springtime. The weather's nice. You got things to do. You want to know what the weather's going to be like in the weekend so you can plan. This is why I do things like this. So, yes, you do have rain coming up for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For today, you got scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms for today. You got one of two systems that's going to be pulling through, and the second one is going to be a California storm. I used to call them that when I did TV. But bottom line is you got one system that's going to push through, pull out. You'll get nicer weather by the time you get to Wednesday and Thursday. When you get to Thursday night, you're going to start to see showers from the second system that'll be making its way onshore about Tuesday. Am I making any sense here? Thank you. And when it gets onshore, you'll start to see the rain coming toward our area Thursday night, going into Friday, and continuing all the way through Sunday. So there you have it. You know, and you can plan now what you need to do this weekend. I'm not playing around. I'm not moving around. It's going to rain this weekend. But for today, you're going to see temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. 75 for the high, 49 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael Rogers weather brought to you by our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Call them today, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, here's a story that it kind of makes me wrinkle my eyebrow a little bit and say, oh, come on, don't tell me that. It takes away from the status of the event. Remember all the patriotic openings at the NFL games last fall? Remember that? I mean, whether it was my Green Bay Packers or whether it was the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles, whatever it was, they really put a lot of time and effort into the patriotic openings to really celebrate America. Well, now I find out this morning that the teams were paid $5.4 million of our tax money to do it. Instead of doing it voluntarily and doing it as patriots, they were paid for it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Hey, got to weigh in on this immigration stuff. You know, it's all for a Democratic voter base.
Yep.
They put these refugee centers in all the Republican heavy spots, and they're going to change the demographic there. Is all they're doing, and they're paying them very well with free stuff and health care and all that.
Yep.
To make sure that they vote Democratic when the time rolls around.
Wouldn't...
The thing is, they shouldn't be voting, but they'll make sure they can.
Yeah. Wouldn't you, I'm going to ask you this question, wouldn't you attend a meeting? I would. I'd be the first one there. I would attend a meeting that would be an explanatory meeting and cover all the questions I wanted to ask as far as the refugee program, how it works, why it works, and why it might hurt us. And I was never asked to go to a meeting by the College of Southern Idaho. I was never asked to go to a meeting that our vote would be in attendance and say yay or nay as to whether we wanted to bring all these immigrants in here. Were you?
Well, I certainly would have liked to have been informed and asked my opinion about it. We don't need them. Jobs don't support that kind of stuff anyway, but like they need jobs, they get all the free stuff that we pay for anyway. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, be listening at 9:06 this morning, just about 20-some-odd minutes from now. And Randy Givens, from a professor from Texas, is going to be on our program, and Randy has done extensive research on this problem. And I'm telling you, he is very, very adept at getting the facts out on what's happening here with this so-called colonization. And after you listen, call me tomorrow morning and tell me what your thoughts are, because I think it's going to be an eye-opener for you, and I think you're going to be fighting mad.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about how I am now, but I'll certainly listen, Zeb. I sure appreciate it.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Have a great day.
You know, in order to be informed, you have to listen and learn, and you have to take that upon yourself. I mean, nobody can force feed you that information. Well, Randy Givens is very, very knowledgeable, and he's gone through some really tough times over the last 4 or 5 years fighting cancer and everything, and I have the utmost respect for him. But boy, I mean, when it comes to research as to what's happening in this country, what's happening with the Muslim problem in this country, what's happening with all the different activities that are going on, whether it was the Fort Hood shooting or whatever it is, nobody is more informed than Randy Givens. Don't forget, when it comes to being informed about physical therapy and rehabilitation and all the exercises and all the muscles and everything, that's Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Nick Greenwell and his staff are the best. That's not brag. That's a fact. And they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Get a hold of them today. Call this number and make an appointment so that they can help you get back to being you. 678-1191. 678-1191. And, of course, all the exercises, all the sports medicine. And they've got that hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill in the bottom. Oh, has that helped me? Absolutely. Great friendly staff and knowledgeable people at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Really good folks. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was just telling you a minute ago, it kind of took the flavor out of the patriotism. You know, it would be nice to know that these owners, whether it was Robert Kraft with the New England Patriots, or whether it was the joint ownership of the city with Green Bay, or whether whomever it was, that they took it upon themselves. They took it upon themselves to organize these openings, patriotic openings, for their NFL games, and they did it because they wanted to do it, and they did it because it was the right thing for America. But now we found out that they were paid to do it, and it just kind of rankles me a little bit. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, quickly, the other day when we were talking about this relocation from the State Department, I decided to do a little research, and I called the CSI Refugee Center, and the director's name is Z-E-Z-E. And I had a good talk with him. And in the last 5 years, the refugee program has brought in 436 refugees from Bhutan. And now they were supposed to be Christian to a point, and then whatever the religion of that country is predominantly. So 436 refugees from Bhutan, 236 from Burma, and 231 from Iraq. Now, not all of the 231 from Iraq are Christians. A lot of them are Muslim. And so, but again, this is a little different thing than, of course, this relocation being forced down our throat by the federal government.
Randy, real quick, I guess maybe, and like I said before, I've got broad shoulders. I'll stand the heat in the kitchen. But I'm very concerned about a colonization attitude. I'm very concerned about not having severe and very in-depth background checks. Most all of the Syrian refugees that are coming here are Muslim. Why, my question is, didn't some of the Syrian Christian refugees get first option? This is basically a Christian nation. I mean, I've got a lot of questions, but I was never given the opportunity to ask those questions.
Not at all. See, this is the way it's been, and if the public doesn't inform itself however it happens, it don't matter. It's tough. It's too late. It's just like those spinning pinwheels out on the landscape, and you say, well, how the hell did this all occur? Because we kind of knew, but then we kind of didn't. And then the next thing you know, they're standing there, and what the hell happened? You know, we do have lives to live.
Yep.
And we do have families to support. And, you know, when we can't trust our government, and we can't, and then you get to the point where you say, you know, you're just furious. And so this relocation is something that I'm totally opposed to.
Well, real quick, let me ask you this question, Randy, real quick. I only got about 30 seconds left. But what about the money trail? What about the offers to the city coffers? What about the offers to the city councils, etc.? I mean, you're not going to tell me that there's not a money trail someplace.
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm going to be calling the city of Twin and find out. And then, because when you pin them down, they have to answer your call. I've been in situations before where, you know, they have been quite shocked that anybody would even question it. Yeah. They said to me, well, hell, you're the only person that called.
Well,
isn't that a shame?
Absolutely. Randy, I'm out of time, and I wished I could spend more time with you on this. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Bye.
Hey, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and a free pre-trip safety check. I had mine the other day, as a matter of fact, ready for summer travel. They've got a lot of their tires on sale, like the Ultra Z900 for your cars. Long tread life, smooth ride. On sale. You better get in and check it out. And the best tire value promise in the industry, and the best brake value promise too. Front end alignments, shocks, and struts. Oh my, they are the best. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. Be back in 6. See you then. Welcome back. Welcome back. Here we are, hour number 2 on a Monday, May 11th. Zeb at the Ranch, thank you for being here. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, and I stress everything, for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And our dear friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and I'll tell you what, they've been with us for a long time, and they absolutely do the job because they're always at your disposal. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage, it's gone. Excellent service, locally owned and operated. Western Waste, also with all the dumpsters in various sizes, clean out the basement, the garage, whatever. They can help and will help you. And don't forget, for all the spring and summer outings, they've got all the porta potties ready for rent too. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Excellent, folks. Before we go any further, I also want to say thank you to some people that are just so friendly and so helpful, and that's our friends Joel Heward and his family and staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, when there's the passing of a loved one, it's really a tumultuous time, and literally you have to dot all the I's and cross all the T's in a very short time. Well, well, let them help. They can help you with all of the arrangements, and they can come to you. You don't have to come to them. Remember, always, they serve you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. And in just a moment, we're going to have our guest on the phone, and I can't wait to get him on. But right now, I also want to remind you about the great big Relay for Life. And that's going to be at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds at 6 p.m. starting on Friday the 19th and going through the 20th. Relay for Life with their opening ceremonies and the Survivors Lap, Caregivers Lap, all the different festivities as they try to garner funds to fight the dreaded disease, cancer. Please be supportive and call, if you would please, Vicki Cole for more information, and the number is 878-5238. Or you can call me right here at my cell phone, 312-2976. Very dear friend on the air with us right now, and I'm just absolutely appreciative that he took the time out of his busy schedule to be here. Randy Givens in Austin, Texas. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, Jeb. How are you?
I'm good, but we're going to get right to the matter at hand because I don't want to waste a minute of our conversation. And, Randy, I'm going to be a little apologetic on this because I don't know where to start. This is such a mess right now with what's happening with refugees programs and the Obama administration saying that we need to integrate, we need to have forced colonization, we need to have forced diversification. I want you to spell it out for me how seriously worried you are about all the Muslim refugees and what's happening with this program. Start it off, if you would, please.
Well, it's an issue that's of nationwide importance as how we bring all of the immigrants that are coming in from around the world into this country, how they're accepted, and how they impact local communities when they're brought in. And it seems, by the way, the White House Task Force on New Americans just released a report on strengthening communities by welcoming all residents, which is a White House-driven agenda to provide federal services and enforcement of legal principles, laws, or whatever else in support of residents. And it talks about coordinating and everything, but what's key that's in it right now, it seems, is that the State Department decides how many people are coming from where, and they're under pressure from the United Nations to do that. And in many cases, they then go and bypass the state government, and sometimes they fail to coordinate this with a local government. And local governments, school districts and such, are overwhelmed. They've already maybe got a high unemployment rate, and they've got limited resources for their schools, but all of a sudden they're faced with an onslaught of refugees that speak different languages, and these people need all sorts of social services. And it would only make sense is if we had a transparent system to where State Department says this is what we're planning on doing, and I believe Congress should pass on that or not. And then it should go to the state government, and this plan calls for offices at the state level to coordinate this. But one thing that seems to be missing out of the whole mess is an environmental impact statement. This is a concentrated federal action that impacts the environment within a community, and that environment is supposed to include the human environment as well as the economy. And I haven't seen one word about them doing anything like that, so that we can see what's going on. There's a report I saw a while back, and I don't have it at my fingertips, but anyway, of a mayor of a town, small town in New York, who said they were just overwhelmed. Nobody coordinated with them. It was being done by these proxy federal workers. The feds contract with agencies, some of them religious, some of them not, to do the feds' bidding. In other words, by contracting, these workers are doing what the feds themselves can't do. And I suggest that probably some of it is beyond what the feds would legally be able to do.
Randy, let me ask you.
It's that the impact on the local communities has to be met and has to be absorbed, and it's part of good government so that we can know what we're doing.
Randy, let me ask you this, and I'm asking some very naive questions because I don't understand this. Boise and Twin Falls have been picked as the two main sources of bringing in Syrian refugees, mostly Muslims, and we've been told mostly do not speak a bit of English, they speak all Arabic. Now, does the city of Boise and Twin Falls, the city leaders, have they been pre-acknowledged on this to the point where they've been informed and there might be money going to the city as a stipend? Or did the general public have a right to say yes or no for these people to basically come in and colonize in our cities? I mean, give me some background on this, because I feel that as a taxpayer, it's going to affect me and I should have some right to say yes or no.
Well, that's what I tried to start with, is that this thing seems to be, in practice, ignoring the states. Chicago and New York, I think, were two places that are listed that have offices to coordinate this stuff. But I don't believe that they're doing it by recognizing the authority and the responsibility to the citizens of state and local government. The state should be aware of what's going on within in this program, and the cities must know. And the principle, as is done under the EPA, Environmental Protection Act, is that the federal government is required to coordinate with the local governments, and there's a wordplay there. The feds would like to say that they have cooperated. Well, if you cooperate with the feds, that means you go to the feds table and sit down along with all the other federally designated stakeholders, their favorite friends, and you're often outnumbered there, and the feds are in charge. However, when you require the feds to coordinate, that means they must come to your state government, they must come to your city council, and they must lay out the facts, and they must do this before they start. And then when they do that, is that they must consider any objections that you have or any problems that you present. And this has been used quite successfully in the EPA to get them to own up. Now the question is, where are the facts? How do the state and the city, local governments get this information? One way would be to force them to do an environmental impact statement on the human area and on the economy.
Right.
And then you're laying all of this out. You're laying out the impacts on the schools and traffic and housing and jobs. All of those things must be laid out based on scientific proof and analysis, not based on sweet talk by somebody who's trying to get you to believe in unicorns and rainbows and fairies. And that's what a lot of the stuff is done, is that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, Randy, in your opinion, and there's nobody I trust more than you on these subjects because you're very knowledgeable, but what about the local taxpayer? What about the property taxes? What about the gratuities that are offered to these people that are not the same gratuities that are offered to the people that have resided here and possibly grown up here? What about the cost to the average citizen for bringing these people in?
Yes, sir. And you see, that's what I'm saying, is that the state and local governments have should be given that all of that information and a scientific analysis of it, and a full layout of the benefits, the full layout of the impacts, the full layout of the federal laws that they are planning on enforcing. And this new document I'm talking about has got enforcement sprinkled all through it. And there are related documents that keep talking about federal enforcement. But is that when this is all laid out, then you have an opportunity for the state and local government to seek input from the affected communities and listen to them, and then they can properly respond to the feds like, no, you can't do it in that community. It's got too many negative impacts. You got to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Randy, in one of the sheets that you sent me, one sentence really stood out, and I highlighted it, and I'll quote it, and I want you to respond to this. In Europe, national leaders who report that multiculturalism has failed in their communities say that immigrants must integrate into the society of the host country. And right there is the crux of why I'm against this. I'm seeing so much diversification. I'm seeing so much cultural change that we in Western United States, here in Twin Falls area, we are losing our culture for the sake of bringing these people in. I'm concerned about this. Are you?
Yes, sir. And the point is that the big mantra from the left is, the concept of assimilation, America the melting pot, that's passé. That is a severely outdated concept. And cultural pluralism or multiculturalism is the way it ought to go, is that immigrants should be able to come into this country and hold on to all of their culture and not have to assimilate. And the president of France and the prime minister of the United Kingdom and the chancellor of Germany and also the Dutch government have all said is that multiculturalism in Europe has failed, because one of the key things is that these people were not taught how to become us, how to become we, how to become part of our culture. And in the United States, we've been recognized by scholars as, because of we have so many cultures that we're founded on, they blended together to form a unique American culture. And it's not just a white culture. And that's one of their claims, is that the dominant American culture is a white culture. Excuse me? How about jazz? How about blues? How about the hip-hop culture? All of which, coming from the black community, have radically changed the American culture. Mm-hmm. And we have cultural diffusion, simple words taken from other cultures that have new American meanings that work. Rodeo became rodeo, as an example. And we've got to have a way of making sure that these people understand that when they come to this culture, is that they must leave behind many of their aspects, or any of their aspects of their culture, that go against what we believe in. You cannot beat your wife. You must accept other people's beliefs. That females, your girls, get to go to school. And the UN rights of the child says that a child has a right to choose their own religion. So if a child comes here and wants to not be a Muslim, then they should be able to do that without their parents killing them because they're apostates.
Absolutely.
There should be no such thing as honor killings, no female genital mutilation, and all of those kind of things should be stressed to those folks. And if they don't want to come here and leave that stuff behind, then they should stay where or go somewhere where it is acceptable, but not come into the United States. And we've got a lot to learn from each other along the way, but we have to consider the impact on the United States first and its existing citizens who come from all sorts of different cultural backgrounds.
Randy, one of the things that really scares me is that with the more multiculturalism we see in this country, we also see a dissolving, a weakening, and a trampling of our rights afforded us through the Constitution. And honestly, the more we bring these people in, the more we're seeing the taking away of what the value of our forefathers laid out for us. Would you agree with that?
When we get, as the president of France said, we pay too much attention to the desires and the background of the immigrant and not enough attention to our culture and our people. And we have traditionally welcomed refugees and immigrants on a far more reduced scale than we are right now, which is another big problem. Maybe we're bringing in too many people too fast. But when they come into this culture, is that they must come here to be Americans.
That's right.
Not Syrian Americans, not whatever Americans, but to become Americans. And I got nothing against Syrians. I grew up with Syrian neighbors in my hometown in central Louisiana. We'd go down the street to the Mahfouz house and eat kibbe. And I met my first ex-wife at the Syrian American Club because we had a good number of Syrians in our community. But you have to be careful on the amount of people coming in, where they're coming in, and how many we can absorb into our existing system.
All right, Now, Randy, I got a caller that's been waiting, and I've got to get him on the air because I'm only down to about 3 minutes left in this segment. Caller, real fast so I can have Randy respond to your question. Go ahead.
Well, I want to make a comment. You know, these refugees that are coming in from Syria, that's coming through the State Department, it's coming through the United Nations, and a Muslim group is organizing this. So they're not bringing any Christians in from Syria. They're just bringing in Muslims. And so that's the real problem.
All right.
Yeah, we're looking at the United Nations organizing this thing in cahoots with a Muslim organization and our State Department.
All right. I got to interrupt. Hold on, Adrian. Adrian, I'll have him respond. Listen to me.
On that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm almost out of time. Randy, respond, please. Randy, are you there?
Zeb, I could not hear the caller at all.
Well, basically, I don't know what happened that you couldn't hear, but Wheels, if you could make sure that that's fixed. Basically, he was saying that the United Nations had organized for the Syrian Muslims to come into the country, especially in our area, and not the Christian Muslims. Why have they been overlooked?
I don't know. It goes to the UN High Commission on Refugees, which in my personal experience are, well, this is radio, I can't say it, but they tried to betray some very brave people who had worked with Americans and tried to send them back to Vietnam to certain death. And we were finally able to get those folks into this country. But I have a very low opinion of the UN High Commission on Refugees and the State Department, and I believe the process of who's selected and why and who comes into this country does not have enough oversight, that it's given to the State Department. And I have lots of negative comments about the leader of the State Department these days. But anyway, is that the State Department is operating off in its little corner, making decisions that impact the rest of the country. And no, sir, I have no idea how many Christian Syrians are in the refugee camps, and how many are being left behind, and how much favoritism on Muslims coming into this country are very good questions. And I would suggest that since the Christians are being executed for their religion, is that they be given a higher priority, simply based on if they stay in that area, they're going to be executed.
Absolutely.
They're going to be obliterated. And that's going on, and not just in Syria. And so I would say for that purpose that they have the greatest threat to bring them in, not because they're Christian and we're Christian or whatever, but simply because you go by the rules, and the people who are most threatened get to come in, and the Christians in the Middle East are threatened with extinction right now.
Randy, I got to wrap it up, but I want to say thank you, and please do me a favor and consent to come back real soon so we can continue this conversation on. 30 minutes wasn't enough, and I really appreciate it. Randy Givens in Austin, Texas. God bless you, my dear friend, and I'll be in touch. How's that?
Thanks, Ed.
All righty. Thank you. A very, very good friend and very knowledgeable, Randy Givens, talking about the refugee program coming into the United States. Oh, boy, I've got to pay some bills here real quick. Stand by. Don't forget our friends at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Tim Vaughn and the crew at 431-7314. You call them for estimates on what you need built for your property. Streamline Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And right now, they're really involved in building a lot of on-the-farm grain storage. They're an authorized dealer in Sukup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings. And as a matter of fact, they're currently finishing up and building the brand new Funk Dairy right straight south of Murtaugh. They are good. Give them a call today, and they can handle all your dirt hauling needs, too, with those great big side dump trucks. Call Tim Vaughn today at 431-7314. Streamline Precision in Burley, the number 431-7314. Also, want to remind everybody real quick about Cheney Floors. Every day on the program when we start at 8:06, our weather forecast is sponsored by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And, of course, look for the blue door. Lots of newly refurbished furniture, all the carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, and home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Really nice people. Right now, let's go to the phone lines. And with us, with the Alliance Defending Freedom, is a gentleman that has not been on the program for quite some time, and I'm looking forward to having him back. Casey Maddox, how are you, Casey?
I'm doing quite well, then.
I have, and was sent to me for all the times that you've been on this program. I had no clue what you looked like or what your background was, and all of a sudden somebody sent me a picture. Man, you're smiling like a Cheshire cat. You look like a happy camper.
Must have been a good day. We must have gotten a decision against the Obama administration that day.
Hear, hear. I'm all for you. All right. Well, as a senior counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom, tell us a little bit about this story that's going on in Fort Wayne, Indiana, about the signage on buses.
Well, what's happening there is it's a classic story of the government not being willing to allow views that it thinks are controversial, which almost are always conservative views. or pro-life use. And so that's we're fighting against that and trying to defend the rights of pregnancy centers to be able to advertise the fact that women have real options, and they would like to be able to help women in those difficult situations. And the government just has no right under the First Amendment to prohibit pregnancy centers from being able to help women in this way and get their message out.
I looked at the picture of this signage on the bus, and it said basically, "You are not alone, free resource for women seeking health care." It just seems like the First Amendment is being trumped on in so many ways and means. Why shouldn't it be free speech for all people, and why should this ad be limited or taken down?
That's exactly right. I mean, this should not be controversial speech in the first place. First of all, that's what the First Amendment is designed to protect, is controversial speech. But what kind of a statement is it when an organization providing free help to women and just wanting to say, "You're not alone, come to us and we can help you"? When that's controversial speech, what does that say about where our society is? So we are very hopeful that the court will protect these pregnancy centers and their First Amendment rights, and that women in that area will be able to know that they have options beside having to go to Planned Parenthood.
And bringing up Planned Parenthood, Casey, let me just ask you this. In a perfect world, why is Planned Parenthood getting funding from the United States government? Why shouldn't Right to Life get and apply for the exact same funds? Why shouldn't it be an even Steven? If they're going to pay one and promote one, why not in a free society also promote the other one?
It's because Planned Parenthood, there's a couple of responses. First of all, Planned Parenthood is very good at advocating for politicians. They have a hand-in-glove relationship with the political elites that support them, where they make sure that they do all they can to elect those folks and have them reelected. And then, of course, those politicians, once they're in Washington, D.C., return the favor and keep the money flowing to Planned Parenthood. So that's been going on for a long time. The other answer, of course, is that they will use arguments like the Establishment Clause forbids it, or all sorts of other arguments like that. But the reality is, for a lot of these pregnancy centers, they don't want government money. They don't want to be tied up with the government at all. These are, in my view, pregnancy centers, organizations like CareNet, Heartbeat, NIFLA, organizations like that are working with these pregnancy centers, local pregnancy centers. This is the classic example of what a conservative response to a social problem looks like. These are volunteers who are devoting their own money, their own resources, usually working with churches to provide resources, and giving women real practical help. And I'm very proud of that. This is what the conservative answer looks like. We don't have to take your government money. We can do this ourselves. While Planned Parenthood takes, $500 or nearly $500 million in taxpayer dollars every year.
Casey, you're very close to this topic, and you have forgotten more than I'll ever know about it. But basically, when you look at the bottom line with the court cases and the Supreme Court looking at various things right now that are going to change the face of America, have we in America, lost the value of life? Do we really appreciate what we had and what we have tried to promote through our 250-plus years?
I think there is some hope. As dark as things are on so many fronts, the very hopeful thing is that polls continue to show that Americans are really more and more realizing that the unborn child is one of us. And that's a very hopeful thing. You have polls of millennials that show them being much more pro-life than even their parents were. And that's certainly very encouraging. Because I think when you look to the future, I think what we're going to see is a pro-life future, and that explains why organizations like Planned Parenthood are so bothered by the idea of these pregnancy centers, because they recognize, they hear the footsteps, they realize that there are other options, that those other options cut into their bottom line, and they want to do everything they can possibly do to make sure that people don't know that there are other choices. And instead that they continue to direct their money toward Planned Parenthood.
What about the younger generation, the college-age students? Do you see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel with these folks? Are they starting to really appreciate and wonder why we've lost our value for life in this country?
I think I think they are, and I think part of that is, a realization that, kind of the main driving force of the younger generation is kind of a don't be mean sort of an idea, and that can be belittled in a lot of different ways. But one way that it comes across positively is I think they look at the unborn child and think, well, what's more mean than destroying an innocent human life?
Right.
So that sort of instinct to not be mean and to be, in support of the little guy is something that I think millennials, particularly college students now, are starting to realize really cuts in favor of the pro-life side. And so I think that's certainly very encouraging. They can be, that generation can be frustrating in a lot of different ways, but on the life issue, I think they're starting to realize that, this is, to use the phrase from the Obama administration that we often hear, the right side of history is the side that is on the side of the pro-life movement.
Now, looking ahead, Casey, and I don't want to put you on the spot politically, but we have to ask this question. We've seen the devastating effects of the Obama administration and what they will do and can't do. What about, though, on the same side of the coin, with the Democrats throwing Hillary into the fray and using her as the flag bearer that they already want to treat as queen? What about her stance on abortion, Planned Parenthood, and against the right to life?
It's really sad. I think at this point it's very difficult for anyone who would actually be pro-life or show any respect for the sanctity of human life to rise to any level of prominence in the Democratic Party, particularly nationally. It's virtually impossible. And so, Hillary Clinton falls perfectly into that mold, where her position on the life issue has been rather sad, I'm afraid to say. And, she is opposed to, was opposed to the partial birth abortion ban, for example, and said all of these horrible things are going to happen when partial birth abortions were banned. And, of course, we now have almost a decade of partial birth abortions being banned, and where are those examples of those horrible things? They haven't occurred. And that's common. From the abortion side, you will see them, politicians and others will talk about all the horrible things that were happening. This coming week, we're going to hear a lot of talk on the 20-week bill, the fetal pain bill,
right,
from the left about all the awful things that will happen if the fetal pain bill actually becomes law. The reality is that in 12 states, Idaho is actually among them, fetal pain bills are law. And in about 2 or 3 of those states, they've actually been blocked by courts, but in most of those states, those bills are law. And those horrible things have not occurred. And so, when you hear those sorts of claims from politicians and others on the left about, pro-life laws, you should ask, can we test this against reality? And the reality is that these laws don't lead to the horrible consequences they claim. In fact, what they do is protect unborn children.
Casey, what would you have my audience do? What would you want the general citizenry to be involved in? How do they get involved? How do they let their voices be heard? A lot of people are listening right now are outraged as to what's happening, but they're not really doing anything. What would you tell my audience?
Well, certainly this week the focus is on the fetal pain bill, and educate yourself about fetal pain and the issues there. We had a study that just came out this week that showed that for 22-week preborn babies, that they can in fact be viable if they get the right care. we're talking basically the same time frame we're talking about with fetal pain, and you have people from the other side arguing they can't even feel pain when another study is showing they can actually be viable, much less feel pain. So, educate yourself about that and make sure that you're talking to your friends and neighbors, especially your friends and neighbors who don't agree, and give them the facts. But more importantly, call Congress. Call your members of Congress and let them know what your views are. That's always good advice because they do take notice when they receive those calls. And frankly, people on the right are far less likely to make those phone calls than people on the left, historically.
Absolutely. Casey Maddox, I appreciate your being on the program with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and tell everybody how they can follow this story and many more with ADF.
Sure. You can find us on the web at alliancedefendingfreedom.org. And you can track us there. You can also find me on Twitter at Casey Maddox ADF.
I'll tell you what, Casey, we've got your picture up on the wall with a lot of other guests now knowing that you're one happy camper. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being on the program.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Excellent, excellent team, and that's Alliance Defending Freedom, and one of their attorneys, Casey Maddox. I've got a lot of respect for the ADF, and thank you very much for being on our program this morning. We're going to do a weather forecast, and then when we get finished with the weather, I want you to call. We're going to kind of have an open forum here for a little bit this morning, and you can call in about this segment I had with Randy Austin. You can call in about this last segment, anything you want to talk about for about the next 15 minutes, so give us a call. Right now, the weather is being brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, these folks are good. Nicole and Alex Pratt. They can do anything about logos on your sweatshirts, T-shirts, your business name on the caps and the jackets, everything, all the pens, everything they can do for your business and the promotion of your business. So please get a hold of them today. Mad River Laser, what a nice store location, 502 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-2293. Right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. You got rain coming up this weekend. Why am I telling you a forecast on a day that's nowhere near where we're getting to? Because it's summertime. You got things to do. Well, not summertime. It's springtime. The weather's nice. You got things to do. You want to know what the weather's going to be like in the weekend so you can plan. This is why I do things like this. So, yes, you do have rain coming up for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For today, you got scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms for today. You got one of two systems that's going to be pulling through, and the second one is going to be a California storm. I used to call them that when I did TV. But bottom line is you got one system that's going to push through, pull out. You'll get nicer weather by the time you get to Wednesday and Thursday. When you get to Thursday night, you're going to start to see showers from the second system that'll be making its way onshore about Tuesday. Am I making any sense here? Thank you. And when it gets onshore, you'll start to see the rain coming toward our area Thursday night, going into Friday, and continuing all the way through Sunday. So there you have it. You know, and you can plan now what you need to do for this weekend. I'm not playing around. I'm not moving around. It's going to rain this weekend. But for today, you're going to see temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. 75 for the high, 49 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael Rogers Weather, and brought to you by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-2293. All right. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, too, our friends at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. My goodness, they throw the door open at 9 o'clock in the morning. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and nobody has all the different ATVs, all the different accessories, everything for you to enjoy a lot of fun outdoors in southern Idaho. Boy, I'm telling you, they are good. Stop over and see them today at Let's Ride. It is where the fun is sold. Check out all the ATVs and all the side-by-sides. As a matter of fact, they got the Can-Am ATV side-by-sides rebates for this year, 2015. And as I said, they've got a great big, huge accessory department and a super service department at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. All right, let's go. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, if you're over there at Let's Ride, don't forget, just up Highway 24 just a little bit, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert, the number to call for an appointment to make sure you're protected with all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, etc. You give them a call for an appointment today at 436-4424. 436-4424. Dean and Todd, always accessible and devoted to serving you at Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Really nice folks. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated, and I'd love to hear from you, so give us a jingle on the landline. And here is a story that when I heard it, I said, you got to be kidding me. It's true. This is the headline of the story, and it was on the news last week that bedtime reading to your children could create a disadvantage to other children that their parents don't take the time to read to them. Here is this academic, and I use the term loosely, called Adam Swift, and he said that possibly snuggling up in bed and reading a bedtime story to your children could be a bad thing. And it was reported on ABC Radio National program, having a loving family is an unfair advantage to other children that are less fortunate. So this guy, this British academic, told ABC News that the benefits of the time-honored custom were greater than a private school education, but he said that he didn't think it was fair because most children that didn't have parents that read to them or took the time, it was unfair in school, etc., and so bedtime reading should be banished, so that everybody was equal and nobody was treated unfairly. Are you kidding me? I have it right here in my hand. I could not believe that it's a serious story from this so-called expert, Adam Swift, and he is telling everybody that bedtime stories should constantly have in their minds the way that they are unfairly disadvantaging other people's children. What are your thoughts on this? The liberal left is nuts, wacko, crazy. The list goes on and on. What are your thoughts about you reading to your children and then someone saying to you, well, that's an unfair advantage for other children, so stop it. Don't do that with your children. Give me a call, please. While I'm doing these next set of commercials, I would love to hear from you. Hey, I want to tell you about a great place to go eat. I want to tell you about a great place to take your friends and enjoy. I want to tell you about Duck Uglies at 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Jack Bates, the brand new owner and manager. Oh my goodness, they're serving breakfast now, Monday through Friday from 6 to 11 a.m. And they've got an expanded menu, great food, take my word for it. It's absolutely true. And on Saturdays, every Saturday, they're going to have smoked barbecue ribs. Starting at 6 p.m. And the best of entertainment with Barton and Bowler and Ned Carter and Dee Yeaman. Those are just a few of the great sources of music. Everything is a lot of fun and great food at Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Number to call, 878-DUCK. You betcha. Good place to go. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about this? Adam Swift and the liberal left thinking that parents that read to their children absolutely is kind of out of line and gives an unfair advantage to other children. And I'd like to have your thoughts on this. It seems like no matter what is time-honored as precious and time-honored as something good for the child, there's always going to be some nincompoop out there, namely this Adam Swift, that is going to try to put it down and take it away. What are your thoughts? Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget also our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Yes, you will. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and they can save you money on Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I started to say in the first hour this morning, we have a call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I suppose they're going to take that commercial off the radio that has the guy reading his kid the instructions on fixing a toilet. You know that one?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah. But give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on the idiocy of the left, attacking parents that spend time with their kids, reading bedtime stories, and this idiocy of saying they have an unfair advantage.
Well, they probably have to put me in jail, because I did that every night with my son.
That is good. That is good. God bless you. I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, bud.
You know, I just don't understand what they want us to do with these kids. They want everything in a equal basis. Oh, well, wait a minute. You treated your child to an ice cream cone. You can't do that. The other child down the street didn't get one. You read a story to your child at bedtime. Oh, no. You can't do that because that gives your child an unfair advantage and might have more of a vast knowledge of what's happening because you read your child a story. And the poor disadvantaged child on the street, his dad and mother didn't have the chance, nor possibly they couldn't read as well, so we want everybody to stop. My goodness, what a silly society. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, are we supposed to knock off everything that's good in this world because of the bad stuff? I mean, okay, so the Obama children have an unfair advantage because mom and dad have got the money to pay for a high-class school. So let's get them out of there.
You know, you're really bringing up a good point right here. The Obamas and their children are absolutely a good example of what we're talking about, and thank you for bringing that up. They're going to private schools. They're doing everything that they want to do under mommy and daddy, and everybody else has to adhere to the rules. And quite frankly, I think reading to your children, spending any kind of quality time with your kids is excellent, and how dare some so-called child psychologists say that there needs to be an equalization because some mom and dads aren't bright enough to sit down and read a book?
Well, then get them books on tape. Get them, have the kids read to the parents, whatever. But let's not say that we have to eliminate the good so that everybody's on a crappy level.
You know, you use that terminology, and quite frankly, I agree with you. But what are we going to do? The ball is rolling downhill in this country right now to where the liberal left wants everything on an equal plane. Nobody can do better than the other person. There's no competition. We're all like sheep in a pen. What are we going to do to change this?
I don't know, because we've got to just keep fighting back and reading to our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and nephews and the next door neighbor's kids if the parents don't know how to read.
I agree with you, and I really want to thank you for bringing up that point about the Obama children. Thank you very much. God bless you, and have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. You know, Obama's daughters do have a very unfair advantage, but in fairness to the conversation, most all the presidential children have, whether it was the Bushes or whether it was the Clintons' daughter, whatever. But sitting down and spending some quality time with your kids. I can remember coming home and Jake on one side on this great big old fluffy armchair we used to have, Jake on one side, Toby on the other, and just sitting there and talking to each other and kind of kidding and reading and everything. I treasure those moments. And for somebody like this so-called child psychologist to denigrate it and say that, well, they have an unfair advantage. Can you picture in your mind's eye your child going to school and then somebody meets them at the school door and said, "Did your parents read to you last night? Well, then go to detention." Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
That calf was about a year old.
What was that?
I said that calf that bald was about a year old.
Oh, okay. You lost me, and it's my own cow. I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Fred. Thank you.
Hey, Zeb, Joyce got a deal on Facebook that it's quite a deal. There was Dana, that woman, you see her on TV a lot, that she was interviewing people, and they say that the Muslims are taking over Idaho. Boise and Twin Falls.
Well, we talked about it. We talked about it first hour, Fred. And yes, there's going to be some colonization of Muslims coming in here from Syria. You know, I hate to say this to you because you're such a dear friend, but I've got to go to the news right now, and I'm going to have more programs on it. So absolutely, we've got a problem here, and it needs to be talked about because you were never asked, I was never asked, and a lot of the problem is going to fall back on the taxpayers. Fred, I got to run. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, buddy. I don't want to be rude to him, but I'm out of time. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and along with some of our great advertisers, too. We want to say thank you very much to Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Locally owned and operated Western Way, 734-6969. And our friends at Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, underline the word, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide. Before we get our guest on the program, I want to remind you of the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life. It's going to be at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, and that's going to be June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. with the opening ceremonies. And I urge you to be involved. I urge you to reach down into your pocket and help support these folks as they literally walk for cancer research funding at the Relay for Life for the Mini-Cassia area on June 19th and 20th. For more information, you can contact Vicki Cole at 878-5238. And also, I got to get my papers organized over here. What a great place to go eat, and that's the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley. What's the special for the day? Holy smokes, that just about scared me to death. Start to the race. The special for the day at the Chadwick Sports Grill: breaded pork loin cutlets with sautéed onions and mushrooms, served with the choice of side, veggies, and super salad, and it's going to be delicious. Every meal is delicious. Take a look at all the menu items and, of course, great service at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Really, really good, folks. Let's go to the phone line right now, and we have with us Mr. M.D. Kittle. And good morning, Mr. Kittle. How are you today?
He is not answering, sir.
We have a problem. And then in that case, you know what else I will do? I will give you a backup cell phone number that I just received. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. 608-282-5052. Call him right away, would you please? All right, thank you. All right, we'll try to get him on the air, and hopefully we can catch him, and we'll have him on the air momentarily. By the way, while we're waiting, I want to tell you, too, that on Thursdays, we have a special segment on our program called Cassia County School Days, and I'm really, really thankful for what they do on my program, Cassia County School Days, and you know what, Deanne? I can't find it right now. And it's sponsored by our dear friends at A Child's World, I finally got it, at 1308 Overland in Burley, and also Ambulatory Surgery Center. First of all, at A Child's World, don't forget that May is their annual everything for babies and toddlers sale, and they have baby registries, and you can go on in there and set up a table. And if you're planning on purchasing anything for the babies, whether it's the clothing, the cribs, whatever, it's all there at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also thanking very much Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. And thank you very much, locally owned by Dr. Joe Peterson, orthopedic surgeon, and all these surgeries, and they can save you money. Colonoscopies, arthroscopic surgeries on your knee, sinus surgeries, tonsillectomies. Please call 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Yes, sir. Let's check back over with Wheels. Did we get our man?
Yes, sir, we did.
All right, sir. Appreciate it. Let's get him on the air right now. Good morning, Mr. Kittle. How are you?
I am fine. How are you in Idaho?
Well, not too bad. I guess I don't like formalities. I don't like Mr. and Mrs. and all this stuff. What's your first name? And we'll use that. I think it's Max, isn't it?
It's Matt Kittle.
Matt Kittle. All right, well, Matt, I'm going to call you Matt, and I was shocked here about 2 weeks ago, Matt, when I was watching the news and I heard about the Wisconsin secret war that was going on, and people were literally ousted out of their house and treated like they were over in Nazi Germany during World War II. What in the world is going on back there in the state of Wisconsin?
Well, do you have 3.5 hours?
No, but I'll give you exactly 19 minutes.
All right, fair enough. I'll give you the Cliffs Notes version.
All right.
It's a troubling situation here in the state of Wisconsin. We have in this state a unique procedure. It's a law called the John Doe Law. Only two other states, Michigan and I believe Kansas, have it on the books. They don't use it, really. Wisconsin has 100 of these type of procedures every year. They're secret procedures. They're kind of like a grand jury investigation, but they're presided over by one judge who has extraordinary power to compel witnesses to testify. He can basically work in concert with prosecutors to bring out subpoenas and warrants, all these sorts of things, of course, that were involved in the pre-dawn paramilitary-style invasions, raids of these homes of Wisconsin citizens. And it's all about this long 5-year investigation, secret investigation, by the way. These targets, should they say anything publicly about the John Doe investigation, the fact that their homes were raided, anything involving it, they could go to jail for contempt of court charges because they would have violated the secrecy order that's in play. But all of this relates to a 5-year political investigation that was launched by Milwaukee County Democrat District Attorney John Chisholm 5 years ago into the former aides and allies, associates of Scott Walker, Governor Scott Walker, who at that time was the Milwaukee County executive.
Mm-hmm.
He was at that time running for governor. Mm-hmm. And of course, Scott Walker has been well known in conservative circles in particular, but nationally now, working now in right now it's exploratory, but it will happen, his quest for the presidency. And he is known as a conservative reformer, particularly for reforming public sector collective bargaining in the state of Wisconsin. He took on the public unions, and he won. That law drastically reformed collective bargaining, public sector collective bargaining in Wisconsin, and it saved taxpayers billions of dollars, by the way. The liberals didn't like that, and so they used this investigation basically to go after Walker and his conservative allies, particularly special interest advocacy groups, limited government groups who advertise in support of a particular policy, not in support or not in opposition to particular candidates. But the prosecution had this exotic theory that these groups in Walker's campaign were engaged in illegal coordination. Multiple courts have rejected that theory, and now it's before the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It may go before the U.S. Supreme Court. But all of this was punctuated by these pre-dawn paramilitary-style raids, where you have police threatening, they've got battering rams threatening to knock down doors. You have half-dressed women, scared and frightened, standing in their doorways screaming, "Please don't shoot my dogs. Please don't shoot my dogs." You have targets of this investigation and their children locked in rooms while police root through their materials. Not just the targets, but the whole family stuff. And they never got this stuff back several years later. That, in a nutshell, is what's going on in the state of Wisconsin.
You know, I'm sitting here, Matt, and it's too bad you can't see me on your computer, zebbell.com, but I'm shocked. I mean, this sounds like, I alluded to earlier, Gestapo Germany. What heinous crime, what acts of anti-civilized society were these people performing that the police would raid their homes and even have an inference that they might shoot their dogs? I mean, what did they do?
Good question. They got the FBI involved in that particular case with the half-dressed woman screaming out, "Please don't shoot my dog." What did they do? They did nothing. None of these people have been charged with any wrongdoing, all the way up, and as we speak, 5 years later in some cases, but certainly several years later in others. What were they accused of doing by these partisan prosecutors? They were accused of illegal campaign finance, illegal coordination, which has made a lot of people in this state and nationally now, they're getting a better idea of what happened, but they're scratching their heads and saying, wait a minute, now this was an alleged campaign finance issue, and we've got law enforcement officials beating down doors, cornering off kids in their rooms for a campaign finance. Are you sure there weren't drugs involved, or this was a gang activity? And the answer to the question is no. It was all about campaign finance issues. A campaign finance theory, again, that has been rejected by federal and state courts, including the presiding John Doe judge. The challenges now go before the Supreme Court, and it is thought widely that the Wisconsin Supreme Court will reject this again and ultimately kill this investigation.
You know, Matt, I sat here and I listened to your scenario about raiding the house, and I put myself into the picture, and I am a weapons owner to protect myself here in southern Idaho. And in the dark of night, had someone tried to batter ram my door, not knowing or understanding anything about who these people were, there would have been an automatic exchange of gunfire, and possibly there could have been serious injury and death. And I'm shocked that that didn't happen in the case of these homeowners.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people, too. I have a good friend in conservative talk radio here in Madison, Wisconsin. She says the same thing. That would be the situation. Obviously, that didn't happen. But, those sorts of things could happen. You have this beating down of the doors, these raids, the floodlights flashing. These people were living in total fear and intimidation during these raids.
What about the persons that were involved and the homeowners, damages done to their home, etc.? Are they going to be able to sue for restitution? Are they going to be able to sue to get their good name back? Are they going to be able to sue these clowns that came into their home?
It's the really nefarious part of all of this, ultimately, is that you have subjects and targets of an investigation who are bound by a secrecy order. They're afraid that they'll go to jail if they tell their stories with their names attached to it. Thankfully, There are a number of courageous people who have come to Wisconsin Watchdog and told their stories without attribution, of course, because of the repercussions, the retribution that they are afraid they will face. There is one gentleman by the name of Eric O'Keefe, who is one of the targets of this investigation, who said enough is enough. He will not be silenced. He has sued these prosecutors in federal court. He has sued them not only for damages in their official capacity as government officials, but also in their personal capacity. So he's going after their personal pocketbooks. He wants to send a message that you can't silence people just because you don't like their point of view. Remember, this is a very important fact in this investigation. All of this surrounds all of Wisconsin's political activity over the last several years, including the recall elections of Governor Scott Walker. Walker was the first governor in the country to survive a recall election. No thanks to this union movement that was going on, this left-wing and union drive to take him down, to take him out of office. Now, there was all sorts of coordination going on between the left and these organized labor groups. There were absolutely none, zero John Doe secret investigations into these organizations. This is very similar to what we have seen over the last few years with the IRS targeting conservative groups. This is something that I can tell you and your listeners doesn't stop at the borders of Wisconsin. This is something that has gone on nationally. The left's pursuit of right speech.
Let me ask you this, Matt, because there's so many questions going through my mind, and I'll try to lump these together. A, had any charges ever been filed against these people, or were they judged guilty without a trial and their presumed innocence was thrown in the gutter? And B, what about the fact that if they do go to court, how can somebody step on their First Amendment rights of free speech? I don't understand how any of this holds any water.
That's a very, very good question. All good questions, and I'll get to your first point, or your last point first. We had a Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals judge who was hearing this case and this challenge, who called the John Doe secrecy order screamingly unconstitutional. That is a matter that needs to be taken up by federal courts, and that's the push right now that's going on. But yeah, these people that we're talking about that were involved in the October 2013 coordinated raids, none of them have been charged, ever have been charged with any wrongdoing. The governor has never been charged with any wrongdoing 5 years later. A lot of the people that were involved in the first investigation into his office at the Milwaukee County Executive's office weren't charged. Now, there were 6 convictions ultimately in that, what is called the first John Doe, but it really is lumped into one long investigation. But only 2 of those people were charged with related to the original scope of the investigation, which, by the way, was a theft of a veterans fund in the Milwaukee County District Attorney's office. But it was the Milwaukee County Executive's office. It was the executive's office. It was Walker's own staff who alerted the district attorney's office to this theft. They used that to open the door on this political John Doe. They ended up getting a couple of women who worked in the governor's office for doing some campaign work on government time. Basically, one was writing positive comments about Walker on newspaper publication sites. They used that to roll that into this massive 5-county investigation into political coordination. This, as one target put it, was a sham from the very beginning. It was a witch hunt, a fishing expedition, and we have seen the mounting evidence to show that, and things are going to get a lot more complicated for these prosecutors coming up. Discovery in a Wisconsin court is going on. I am told some very interesting things may be coming about this investigation and the prosecutors involved in it.
Doesn't it strike you as almost laughable that we would be talking about campaign financing and people having their homes broken into and being threatened, etc., when at the same time we're hearing on a national level the scope of the Clinton Foundation with the misuse of funds and Hillary and Bill skating around it laughing all the way to the bank?
I find that more than ironic. I find that a sad commentary on the state of liberty in this country today. And this is something that I think has to be communicated to everybody, including the left. This is, in Wisconsin, a secret investigation that is constitutionally challenged on so many different levels. But if it can happen to the right, it can happen to the left. And that's what people need to think about. It doesn't matter who's wearing the label. They're doing this to citizens because they don't like their message. They can do that to any citizen in the end, can't they?
What about the DA's office and the other people in charge, like the judge, etc.? If this case goes against them, can they be recalled and thrown out of office?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have a partisan DA here. There's no doubt about it. This guy was elected to his position. John Chisholm, the Milwaukee County District Attorney. He was elected as a Democrat in a Democratic stronghold, that is Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County is one of the biggest bastions of the unionized left in this country. I mean, for years and years, they had socialist mayors. So this is a very left-leaning county that is led in its by its top prosecutor by a Democrat, a guy who's very engaged in Democratic causes and Democratic campaigns. He could lose that election. He could be recalled. There's been talk about that. But ultimately, it's going to be up to, I think, the state legislature. And some members have said they want to open up subpoena powers and take a closer look at this. In large part, I can tell you, because of the reporting that Wisconsin Watchdog has done, we've written somewhere in the vicinity of over 200 stories now trying to shed light on these government abuses. There's legislation now pending that would reform the John Doe law in Wisconsin. It would also reform the political speech agency, the Government Accountability Board, that is up to its elbows in the mess that is the John Doe investigation with these prosecutors. And there is some call to go after these employees and to go after the records and find out just what they got. As I said, discovery is going on in the legal sphere in courts in Wisconsin. And I think we have yet to see we're at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the sort of abuses that were involved in this lengthy investigation.
Matt, I've only got a minute left. Make this answer short. But what about you? What about other people in the media? What about other people that are investigating? Is there a fear that somewhat of a backlash will be taken against them?
Oh, absolutely. There's always fear because we're dealing with people who are supposed to be bound by the secrecy order. We're sharing the state's secrets, the secrets that the state didn't want out. Now, we are, National Review is, the Wall Street Journal has done some work on this, but the mainstream media arguably has been complicit in this whole thing. They write from the perspective, basically, of the district attorney's office and these prosecutors. They will, I think, at some point have to swallow their tongues on this thing because they'll learn totally about the abuses involved.
Matt, I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask that you come back in the future because, see, Wisconsin is my old home state. I was born and raised in the town of Fort Atkinson, actually outside on a farm. And, boy, it just hurts me to think that we have that kind of a Gestapo treatment of our citizens in the Dairyland state. Matt Kittle, thank you. God bless.
You bet. You come from a beautiful state, that's for sure.
All right. Well, come back, please.
I will indeed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Isn't that something, folks? In America, in the dead of night, because of questions about campaign finance, somebody's home is broken into and they're threatened not to say a word, the damages to their property, the absolute insult to them personally living in a free American society. And that's going on in Wisconsin? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Hey, before we send it back over to our main studios, I want to remind you again about Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, with our dear friend Tim Vaughn, and call the number 431-7314 for estimates. Oh, they can get the job done for you. Streamline Precision, a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And as I've told you many, many times, right now they are so heavily involved in building a lot of on-the-farm grain storage, grain bins, authorized dealer in Sioux Cub, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings. And you want a job done? Hey, they'll get it done for you. And they can also help you with all your dirt hauling needs with the big side dump trucks. And they've got the big, big, heavy rigs to take all your big farm equipment from field A to field B. All you got to do is give them a call right now at 431-7314. That's the number for Tim Vaughn at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The professionals building for you. We're going to take a little break for about 3 minutes and be right back. Don't you go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour of the program this morning. Thank you. We're going to have our next guest with us in just a moment. Stay tuned. Don't forget our segment on Thursdays, and the program was named after me, Gardening for Idiots. Yes, sir. I'm not much of a gardener. If it's not a horse or a cow, I don't know anything about it. Anyway, it's brought to you by Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul, and it's at 10:30 on Thursdays. And for all your gardening needs, be sure and stop over to Vicky's Country Garden. All the hanging baskets and the new shrubs, everything right there at Vicky's Country Garden, or give her a call at 438-5663. And don't forget, too, our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Yes, sirree, they can help you with, of course, all the gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, everything you need, and your family will enjoy the comfort at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And the number to call, 678-0459. Always providing warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey with Lennox. We're going to go to the phone line right now, and I've had this gentleman on the program in the past. He is very, very interesting, and I appreciate his taking the time to be on our show, the former mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's on many, many board of directors, and I say welcome back, Mr. Ken Blackwell. How are you, sir? Thank you very much.
It's good to be with you. I hope all is going well with you, because we need all of the folks of clear thinking and high energy to be on the front lines protecting those things that have made us an exceptional nation for 239 years or more.
Let me say this, Ken, before we get started this morning. I remember our conversation the last time I had you on the air, and I think I lost a bet to you regarding the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs, but your check is in the mail.
All right.
We're going to talk a little bit about Obamacare this morning, and I want to say first and foremost, this has turned into one of the biggest wrecks that the United States of America has ever had. Give us your background on the Supreme Court striking down Obamacare and what you think are the effects. Please, go ahead.
Well, I think it's going to be very important that the Supreme Court does strike down Obamacare, because not only is it a train wreck in terms of health care, it is disastrous when it comes to the separation of powers, when it comes to us depending on free markets as opposed to a government-managed economy to accelerate growth and to create jobs. If the Supreme Court does not act to strike down the disastrous aspect of Obamacare, not only will we be going head first into a single-payer system, a government-managed system that has not worked anyplace else in the world to the degree that our market-driven system, with even its imperfections, had achieved. And so the Supreme Court will have to make a decision as to whether or not we go forward or they make a correction midstream. I think it's very, very important because, as I've told you on a number of occasions, I believe that there are four wooden-headed ideas that sort of drive the expansion of our system into a welfare state system, and that is that the government can make better decisions about our families than we can, that the old-fashioned work ethic is dead, and that we should go head first into becoming a culture where earning money doesn't entitle you to it, but wanting money does, that we move away from the foundation of absolute truth that have guided this nation through its expansion and actually guided us through many of our hiccups and problems to a system that is based on a moral relativism as opposed to the fundamental truths that have made us an exceptional nation because of our adherence to them. And then the bottom line notion is that our culture should not be a family-centered culture, but should be a government-centered culture, and that's fundamental. That's a fundamental problem. So a lot rides on what the Supreme Court does, and I think that it's probably going to be a 5-4 decision either way.
Yeah,
and that's a little disturbing.
Let me ask you this question, Ken. I have kind of a conspiracy theory mindset, and I'm wondering if maybe the whole sham of Obamacare was constructed to fail, and so that the single-payer unit would be enforced on the American public. Do you think there's any credence to that?
Yes, I do. I really do. Look, in the wake of big government overhauls of our healthcare system with Obamacare, we've also witnessed a takeover of the banking system with Dodd-Frank, and we see encroachment on the energy sector, even though what we've witnessed through the innovation and creativity and entrepreneurship of Americans is that we in fact we've bust the OPEC bank with fracking and other initiatives in the energy sector that go beyond government control. But we see this push towards central management of our economy, and you're absolutely right. At the bottom line, they believe that if their Obamacare push, which is an incremental approach to government takeover of health care, collapses of its own weight, the safety net will be that everybody will just throw up their hands and say, before we see Americans without health care at all, let's let the government just run the whole kit and caboodle. So it's not a conspiracy theory. Sometimes when you think people are out to get you, you're right. They are out to get you.
It's very true. Let me ask you this question, going back to the original inception of Obamacare. And I remember when you and I were on the program last, and it has been mismanaged. It's been bungled. The Nancy Pelosi's of the world saying, well, we had to pass the law to find out what's in it and then read it later. But then there was always the changing. And after after the Supreme Court had looked at the original concept of Obamacare, and then it was redone on various steps, why wasn't it null and void at that time? I mean, that was not the same thing that the Supreme Court passed on.
It's because they've weaved an interesting network of judicial activism, of administrative fiat coming from the executive sector that basically says that there are times when they don't care. This administration, they just flat out don't care what the Congress says, what the Supreme Court says, or what the facts show. They just push ahead with their narrative, with their game plan, until, they meet a resistance that's greater than their energy and their push. And that's why I started out by saying we have to re-energize. We have to step it up, because these guys will create problems where there are no problems in order to justify their so-called fixes. I mean, we're witnessing that right now in terms of their assault on our Constitution and the patent protections that we've had in place, from the beginning of our Constitution to protect what we consider to be the driving force of American economic prosperity, and that is the innovations and the property rights, the intellectual and physical property rights of inventors and entrepreneurs. But we see right now that they're now talking about that these, even though these patent protections are enshrined in our Constitution, they are saying it's in need of reform as a major way of getting at a problem that is not necessarily associated with patent protections, and that is tort reform.
Right.
So look, we must continue to separate fact from fiction. We must get our second wind and pull out our pitchforks and say we've drawn a line in the sand. That this big government push, this collective government push, this attempt to run God and faith and entrepreneurs and market forces out of the public square to give way to, big government and the expansion of the welfare state just won't stand.
In the piece that you co-wrote with Edwin Meese III, there was one paragraph, there was one paragraph that I highlighted and I want to read on the air and then have you respond. It said, quote, refusing to give effect to Congress's law would usher in an era where courts routinely let presidents rewrite statutes whenever the words Congress adopts does not produce outcomes the president likes. In other words, I could associate the word dictator instead of president, and he's going to rewrite things the way he wants them, and that's not at all what our Constitution is stood for.
You're absolutely correct. And that's what Ken Kukowski and I, in our 2010 book called The Blueprint, Obama's Plan to Subvert the Constitution and Build an Imperial Presidency, was all premised on. And that they have a game plan. They have a blueprint. And that is to fundamentally and radically transform our country into something that we don't recognize anymore.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. I'm going to ask the caller quickly to give your question, and then I'll have Mr. Blackwell respond. Go ahead.
Yes, you said we were getting our second wind, or we need to. I'm hoping that you see signs of us getting our second wind, because just like you said on this book, and then Zeb has other guests on that say that
you know, that Obama may try to literally institute martial law and you know, and take over literally. And I'll hang up. Thanks.
Mr. Blackwell, what about that? As far as there is a major fear about Obama and the implementation of martial law, more power, more executive orders, would you respond to that, please?
One, while I think he is brash enough and his team is aggressive enough to float notions to see if in fact if they meet with any resistance, I don't think that the American people will let this administration federalize our local police departments. That would be no more efficient, make no more sense than this whole notion of Common Core and federalizing our education system. I mean, there are lines in the sand where people just won't allow folks to transgress, and I think that's one of them. But we must continue to shine a light on that sort of aggression, that sort of overreach, that sort of unconstitutional paragraph by this administration, because once you make it clear that it is unconstitutional, it is inefficient, and it is counter to those things that have made us an exceptional nation, the American people step up.
Absolutely. You know, when you look at the problems we're having with Obamacare, to which we're addressing here this morning, and then also other problems, especially with the EPA, does it amaze you, or did you see it coming, the power that this man wanted to take in his now 8 years of presidency? Does that astound you, or did you see it coming?
I took him at his word when a week before the election he said that we are a week away from fundamentally transforming America. And that's why Ken Kukowski and I took 2009 and wrote the book, because we said, let's see where we can find who he's associating himself with, and what sort of worldview have those folks articulated. And if you begin to look at what his experience was before the presidency, who he has subsequently associated himself with, it was very clear to us that this was more than a pipe dream. This was actually a blueprint that this president had every intent of working on. And we've watched the centralizing of power, the deliberate weakening of checks and balances, the growth of the administrative state, and the erosion of constitutional protections, i.e., the rule by executive order and judicial fiat, and we're pushing back.
I want to.
Enough is enough, and that's why when I look at and listen to those folks who want to be the next president of the United States, I want to hear that they understand clearly what this guy has done wrong and what they are offering as prescriptions to fix it.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time again, Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati, and I hope you'll come back in the future. And by the way, as a parting shot, my Cubs in the last standings are still ahead of your Cincinnati Reds. Just a final thank you, sir.
Well, you know, even a broken clock is straight right today. So.
Oh, God bless you, and come back soon. Thank you so much.
All righty. Take it easy.
Thank you. Very interesting individual, and I really appreciate his remarks regarding Obamacare and Obama himself. Mr. Ken Blackwell, the former mayor of Cincinnati. Oh, my goodness, we've got to get a weather forecast in here. And, boy, these headsets here in my house, I don't know, I'm just having everything be distorted, and I can't figure out why. Trying to keep the sound at a fairly good level, and then boom, boom, boom. boom! It's just knocking my head apart. Scarrows, don't forget, they sell taste one bite at a time. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, they've got what's called the tax return meat package. For only $300, you get beef, you get pork, chicken, cheese. Oh, it's all delicious. All you have to do is give them a call and check it out more. 324-7657, Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is over the ranch. You got rain coming up this weekend. Why am I telling you a forecast on a day that's nowhere near where we're getting to? Because it's summertime. You got things to do. Well, not summertime. It's springtime. The weather's nice. You got things to do. You want to know what the weather's going to be like in the weekend so you can plan. This is why I do things like this. So, yes, you do have rain coming up for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For today, you got scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms for today. You got one of two systems that's going to be pulling through, and the second one is going to be a California storm. I used to call them that, but I did TV. But bottom line is you got one system that's going to push through, pull out. You'll get nicer weather by the time you get to Wednesday and Thursday. When you get to Thursday night, you're going to start to see showers from the second system that'll be making its way onshore about Tuesday. Am I making any sense here? Thank you. And when it gets onshore, you'll start to see the rain coming toward our area Thursday night, going into Friday, and continuing all the way through Sunday. So there you have it. You know, and you can plan now what you need to do this weekend. I'm not playing around. I'm not moving around. It's going to rain this weekend. But for today, you're going to see temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. 75 for the high, 49 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Great forecast. Michael's right on top of everything. Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats. They sell taste one bite at a time, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657, Scarrows Meats. Oh, my goodness sakes. What else have we got cooking here? Calls are welcome. I've got time for some calls right now at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. Love to hear from you about any of the stories we've had on this morning. Excellent people. Ken Blackwell, the former mayor of Cincinnati, talking about hopefully the Supreme Court going against Obamacare. Then, of course, a big story we had at 10:06 this morning. Matt Kittle from Wisconsin talking about home invasion, kind of like Gestapo forces, because you were not of the Democratic Party, and they were accusing people basically of campaign financing that was for the Republicans, and the whole thing got completely out of hand. And then, of course, Casey Maddox with the Alliance Defending Freedom coming on the program talking about the heinous acts of the liberal left against the pro-life folks. And then, of course, the big story this morning was with my dear friend Randy Gibbons talking about Obama and his administration with the colonization of bringing in people from across the water, Middle Eastern people, etc., Muslims that they want to associate and commingle in our communities. So we've had some really good folks on the air here this morning. Calls are welcome and appreciated in the time left. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that hopefully is coming in, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, you planning a trip? Well, get in there and check out a free pre-trip safety check. That's right. Tire inspection, tire pressure check, everything, visual inspections of the front end, etc., visual battery inspection, and so much more. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. And don't forget they've got a lot of their great tires on sale, like the Wildcat AT2 all-season traction, smooth ride, just right for your light truck and SUVs. You go on in there today, and don't forget they've also got the best of brake value service. Oh, my goodness, absolutely the best technicians. And, of course, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I've got a couple points to make. One is what in the world is our federal government spending money that we don't have to bring somebody in from a country where so many people hate us as Americans.
Can't answer that question.
This isn't a new practice. There's a lady who I got acquainted with in Twin. She does books, and her husband immigrated to this country back in the 90s during the Bosnia-Herzegovina conflict and civil war over there. Ethnic cleansing, call it what you may. And at that time, he was married to a Muslim woman, and at that time, they were not allowing Christians to be brought to the United States. It was Muslims. And he kind of got in under the wire because the woman he was married to at the time was a Muslim. And as a Christian, he wouldn't have been admitted, but he kind of snuck in under the radar. So we've been doing this for a long time. When's it going to reach up and bite us in the butt?
You know, I know who I'm talking to, and I have the utmost respect for your opinion, and I appreciate the emails that you've sent. And again, thanks to my dear friend Randy Givens. I hope you had a chance to listen to him this morning. We're going to have much more on the colonization and the diversity factor of what the Obama administration is trying to force down our throat. But I'll just say this simply, caller. I'm very worried and concerned about the naivete of the Twin Falls area, the naivete of the city council, the naivete of this area for thinking that we can bring all these people in and not have problems.
Well, you know, I've got a stepson that served over there in Iraq, and my wife spoke to him yesterday for Mother's Day, and, you know, he's going, this is crazy. You know, he spent a year in Iraq, and he said, I'm glad I don't live in the Twin Falls area.
And I tell you what, with that note, I'm going to have to close it off for today, but God bless you for everything you do in speaking out on this problem, and please know that I'll continue to speak out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day, Dave.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up, put it back in the box for today, and be back here again tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, the way things were are the way things ought to be.